Visible or invisible fixing methods can be used to secure Equitone panels to a facade. Visible systems consist of rivets or screws, while glue or the Togo anchor are the invisible systems. Using good quality equipment together with the Equitone fibre cement blades and drill bits will make the work easier and result in a better quality of finish. Equitone fibre cement drill bits are fully hardened steel with a cutting edge to suit fibre cement. It is strongly recommended that Equitone saw blades are used to cut the panels on site. These blades have been designed specially for fibre cement. The blade is unique with its diamond-tipped teeth, which are shaped to give a rip-free edge. These blades can remain good for upwards of 5,000 meters of cutting. Accessories such as rivet setting tools and centralizing drill bits help in ensuring trouble-free installation. Whether drilling or cutting Equitone, it is advisable to place the panel firmly on a solid workbench, preferably indoors or undercover. This will reduce the risk of staining in wet weather. Immediately after drilling or cutting, clean off all dust with a microsoft cloth to prevent staining. As much as possible, off-site cutting of the panels should be carried out. Side cutting is also possible using Equitone blades. The Equitone panels are cut one at a time and are placed face down on a solid bench. The workbench has a clean, soft covering to prevent scratching of the panels. To ensure a straight cut with no chips to the panel edge, a guide rail for the saw should be used. A saw with an enclosed blade and a vacuum system ensures good health and safety practices. The blade should be set to extend approximately 5 mm below the panel to allow the debris to escape. Always use the correct blade speed. For curved cutouts, the panel is also cut face down. Firstly, drill a hole in the panel and insert the jigsaw using a fibre plaster T141HM jigsaw blade. Proceed to cut the hole. Ensure the jigsaw pendulum function is switched off. It is advisable to sand the edges of panels after cutting them, which reduces the possibility of damage and improves the appearance. Use 80 grit sandpaper. Cutting and sanding dust contains cement, and that can permanently stain the surface if allowed to dry in. When dry, remove all dust with a microsoft cloth. With the semi-transparent coatings used on Natura and Natura Pro, moisture ingress at the panel edges can appear as a darker shade. This is only a visual issue and does not affect the performance of the panel. It will disappear over time. To help prevent this temporary phenomenon, the edges of these panels are impregnated with Luco edge sealant at the factory. Panels cut on site must also be impregnated with Luco. Simply pour some Luco into the tray. Using the sponge applicator provided, dip into the liquid and remove any excess. Starting at one side of the panel, angle the applicator away from the face of the panel and simply run the applicator along the edge. Ensure full coverage of the edge. Immediately wipe away any excess that appears on the panel surface. Only one panel should be drilled at a time. Never stack the panels on top of one another to drill them. It is strongly recommended that the panel is not drilled on the facade. The Equitone drill bit with its hardened steel composition and unique cutting head reduces the risk of sliding on the panel surface. It also ensures a clean cut with no burrs or burning and has a very long life. Here it is clear to see the differences between a standard masonry bit and the Equitone drill bit. The Equitone drill bit is faster. Using a standard masonry drill bit results in a fine dust, burning of the fibre cement and an oval hole. It is important not to mix metals that can react with each other and cause corrosion. Only use aluminium rivets with an aluminium supporting frame. Stainless steel rivets can be used with most metal frames. Place the rivet into the rivet gun and insert it into the hole in the panel and metal. The rivet gun then pulls the pin out of the rivet, clamping the materials together. The rivets have colour-matched heads to blend in with the panel. The panel must be pre-drilled with one-size holes. The position of the holes for all Equitone panels are 70 mm to 100 mm in from the horizontal edges of the panel and 30 mm to 100 mm in from the side edges of the panel. The centres for the rest of the fasteners are determined based wind load calculations. All panels are fastened to the metal supporting frame with a combination of fixed and gliding points. Each panel, no matter what size, will have 2 fixed points and the rest left as gliding points. The 2 fixed points support the weight of the panel and ensure the panel stays in position. The gliding points resist the wind loading, while accommodating any panel or support frame movement. The location of the fixed points is important to prevent any risk of the panel cracking. Never have the 2 fixed points on the same profile. Locate the 2 fixed points centrally in the panel and to the left or right. Ensure each panel is the same. To form the fixed points, place the rivet sleeve over the rivet. This sleeve fills the hole in the panel and locks the panel in place. The gliding points simply use the rivet with no sleeve, therefore leaving a space around the rivet. After the installer has surveyed the supporting frame, checking line, level and anchor points, the panel is ready to go on the facade. Experience has shown that the best sequence in placing the Equitone panels that will have visible fasteners is to start at the top of the facade and work downwards. Starting at the top, mark the bottom edge of the top panel on the profiles. Place a temporary rail against the frame and level. Temporarily clamp the rail to the profiles. This support rail will act as another workman and will carry the weight of the panel and allow easy adjustment. Lift the first panel onto this rail and position into place. Securely hold the panel in position. Always fix the central fixed points first to hold the panel in place and then radiate outwards towards the edges with the other fasteners. Lift and slide the next Equitone panel into place. Use spacers of a type not to cause damage to the joint. Fix this panel as the first panel. Then continue across the facade, moving the support rail as the work progresses. Now the top row is in place. Remove the support rail. Measure down from the bottom edge of the upper fixed panel and mark the position of the bottom edge of the next row of panels. This measurement is equivalent to the height of the panel plus the horizontal joint, for example, the panel plus 10 mm. Using this new level, temporarily fix the metal support rail across the profiles again. Then lift the first panel of this row onto the rail and position it into place, lining up the panel vertical edge with the edge above. Repeat the fixing sequence for the panel. Continue working across the facade. The whole procedure is then repeated down the facade of the building. A standard Equitone rivet is used for these panels. A rivet setting tool prevents any damage to the panel surface when fixing. Drill the panels with a 9.5mm diameter Equitone drill bit. Clean off the dust. Using the temporary rail, lift the panel into place and adjust. Starting with the fixed points, drill the holes in the metal using the 4.1mm centralizing tool. Insert the standard rivet and its rivet collar into the rivet gun and fix. Continue with the fixing of the gliding points using the same centralizing tool, but this time only use the standard rivet as movement is needed. Similar procedures apply the securing Tectiva. However, there are only one or two differences. An Equitone Astro rivet is used for Tectiva and a foam tape is placed on the frame. Firstly, drill the panels with an 11mm diameter Equitone drill bit. Clean off the dust. Place the foam tape on the supporting profiles. This tape fills the gap between the panel and the frame. Visually, it is better not to run the foam tape across the joints. Lift the panel onto the temporary rail and position into place. Starting with the fixed points, drill the holes in the metal using the 4.9mm centralizing tool. Remove any debris. Insert the Astro rivet and the Astro rivet collar into the rivet gun and fix. Continue with the fixing of the gliding points using the same centralizing tool, but this time only use the Astro rivet as movement is needed. The grey or silver colour of the metal profiles can be prominent, especially when used with dark panels. This could be an unappealing feature. To eliminate this, the visible areas can be painted or taped on site prior to fitting the panels. The best long-term solution is to use black-coated metal profiles, such as anodized aluminium. Ensure the faces of all battens are covered with an EPDM or aluminium cover strip. Fix the cover strips towards the edges. The Torx T20 screw have colour-matched heads to blend in with the panel. The position of the screw holes for all Equitone panels are as follows: 70mm to 100mm in from the horizontal edges of the panel and 20mm to 100mm in from the side edges of the panel. The centers for the rest of the fasteners are determined based wind load calculations. Drill the panels with a 6mm diameter Equitone drill bit. Clean off the dust. Using the temporary rail, lift the panel into place. Ensure the edges line up. Fix the screw perpendicular to the panel, starting with the center holes and moving out towards the edges. Ensure the screws are not overfixed. To protect the unique coating on these panels, an additional hole protector is used. Therefore, drill the panels with a 7mm diameter Equitone drill bit. The same sequence for fixing the panel on the wall is used. It is recommended that the fixing of Equitone Tectiva is based on the fixed point, gliding point principle. Drill the two fixed points with 5mm Equitone drill bit and the gliding points with the 8.3mm drill bit. Utilizing the temporary rail, lift the panel into place. Use the spaces to maintain consistent joints. Starting with the fixed points, insert the screw. Continue to insert the screws out towards the edges. Should it be required to baffle the horizontal joint, an aluminium joint profile is inserted behind the panels. Before final fixing of the lowest rivets or screws, the profile is slid up under the panel. When the fasteners are tightened, the profile is held in place. The maximum thickness permitted for this profile is 0.8 millimeters. Aesthetically, it is best not to continue the profile across the vertical joints, but to cut it approximately 4 millimeters narrower than the width of the panel. To prevent the joint profile moving sideways, cut and bend the top or bottom edge of the profile at both sides of one of the vertical support profiles. All Equitone panels can be fixed with structural adhesives. As the suppliers take responsibility for the long-term performance, it is important that their instructions are strictly followed. As a rough guide to gluing, firstly, clean the profile and the panel, then prime both. Position the special tape on the profiles and then run the adhesive down the profile. Place the panel on the temporary rail and push against the glue. Turgo is a system for secret fixing 12mm Equitone panels to aluminium supporting frames. The frame suppliers will determine the hanger positions. The factory drills a special shape hole into the rear of the panel without passing through. The hole is wider in the middle of the panel than at the surface. Ensure the holes are clean. Insert the anchor into the hole. Place the hanger hook, washer and bolt together and insert into the anchor. As the bolt tightens, the anchor expands. Do not over-tighten the bolt as this can damage the anchor. An alternative to the bolt method is the faster rivet system. The hanging hooks on the back of the panel differ depending on where they are positioned. The top hanging hooks support the weight of the panel. These are adjustable, which allow the panel to be moved up and down. A clip or screw that can be removed is used to prevent sideways movement. The other hooks are to resist the wind load and do not need to be adjustable. Horizontal rails are fixed to the vertical profiles using fixed and gliding points. Leave a 20mm expansion gap between adjoining rails. Due to the nature of the Turgo system, the panels are installed from the ground upwards. The panels do not rest on one another, therefore not causing any damage to the panel edges. Whether Equitone panels are fastened with a visible or invisible method, remembering these few guidelines will ensure a durable and trouble-free facade.